Agree, each of us would like to learn how to time travel, through which we could visit the future and learn our fate, or on the contrary, return to the past to correct our mistakes. Science has advanced, and some people claim that time machines have long existed. In this video, I have compiled for you 20 photographs proving the existence of time travelers. Enjoy watching. In the early 2000s, there existed an online community of people who believed in time travel. This website was called the Time Travel Institute. On November 2nd, a user with the username timetravel_0 shared information on the forum stating that he had arrived from the year 2036. According to the man, his name was John Titor, and he was born in 1998. At the age of 31, he enrolled in an institute and was recruited into a time travel program. In his unit, he rose to the rank of major. As proof of the existence of this organization, he attached an image of a chevron to the forum. Besides him, 7 other people served in his unit, each carrying out their own tasks. Besides his biography, John spoke of some events that would happen between the years 2000 and 2036. For example, he predicted severe natural disasters for the year 2012. In that year, Hurricane Sandy, a very powerful tropical cyclone, did indeed strike. Also, according to him, by 2036, all personal computers would be infected by a powerful virus. As a result, all the information on the internet was erased, and the problem could only be solved using IBM 5100 computers from 1975. Incidentally, this is why Titor traveled back to the year 2000. To validate his stories, John decided to prove it by publishing drawings and schematics of his time machine, which he described as a stationary mass temporal displacement unit powered by 2 top-spin dual-positive singularities, producing a standard offset Tipler sinusoid. According to the schematics, the time machine consisted of magnetic housings, numerous electrons, a cooling system, gravitational sensors, several cesium clocks, and computer units. Titor claimed that the device was installed in the back of a 1966 Chevrolet Corvette. John Titor became a cult figure in the early 2000s. He might have been a hoaxer, but people are still amazed by the extent to which he planned his sudden appearance. The footage of Mike Tyson's fight against Peter McNeely caused a huge stir among internet users. Observant people noticed a fan with a smartphone in his hands at the beginning of the fight. And it wouldn't be an issue, but in 1995, such modern gadgets did not exist, and cell phones looked entirely different. Some users speculated that a person from the future appeared in the frame. But later, the modern smartphone was identified as a Casio CV100 digital camera from '95, whose streamlined shape indeed resembles current phones. These frames are considered very unique and raise many questions. They show a girl hastily walking down the street holding a small, unclear object resembling a smartphone to her ear. Additionally, she is noticeably conversing with someone, laughing cheerfully. The mystery of this video was never solved, and we can only speculate where the girl got the mobile phone from. The first cell phone appeared in 1973. It was created by Motorola employee Martin Cooper. At that time, the device weighed over 1 kilogram. It had 12 keys and lacked a display. The first smartphone, or a pocket portable computer with phone functions, was the IBM Simon. The gadget included an organizer, the ability to send and receive faxes and emails, and some basic games. This model went on sale in America in 1994. As you can see, during the years when the footage with the girl was taken, mobile phones did not yet exist. The internet is filled with many photographs from the first half of the 20th century. Sometimes you can see people in them who look as if they've come from the 21st century. In the first photograph, a soldier aboard a military ship strikes a pose that's not typical for his time. At a moment when his fellow servicemen are simply looking at the camera and smiling, he is doing a gesture that became popular in 2014. The dab is a dance move where a person hides their face in a bent elbow and raises the other arm. In 2015, French footballer Paul Pogba demonstrated this gesture to viewers after scoring a goal. From that moment on, the dab became popular and even somewhat mimetic. But how could this soldier know about it? In the second photograph, we see a person whose style is completely different from those around him. He's wearing narrow sunglasses and a trendy t-shirt, while people next to him have clearly never seen such items in their wardrobe. Could he be another time traveler who accidentally ended up in this photo? In 2018, a man who introduced himself as Alexander Smith published a sensational video on one of the popular foreign YouTube channels. In it, he spoke about the CIA, his life, and time travel. Alexander Smith admitted that he is wanted by the CIA because he knows things that no one should know. He recorded this video to make people understand that authorities are hiding many things from us, and that time travel has long existed. As evidence, he presented a photograph that was supposedly taken in the year 2118. The photo shows several tall buildings with strange green lighting. The man did not specify in which city they will be located. However, he warned that a more advanced civilization would arrive in our world in the near future. There's no need to fear these beings. Their main goal is to lead humans to tremendous progress. Alexander's face has many scars, which he claims were received during time travel. Overall, this man looks very strange and even somewhat repulsive. Among the viewers who watched his 20-minute video, few people believed his story. A Briton named William Taylor decided to prove to people that he is indeed a time traveler. For this, he recorded a video in which he talked about his trips to the future. During the recording, he was connected to a lie detector. In his video, he claimed that such experiments have been conducted for a long time. By the year 2028, the official truth about this will be revealed to people. Taylor's first trip happened back in 1981. During his participation in recent projects, he was able to travel to the years 3000 and 8973. In the first case, he found no evidence of human life. According to him, a global catastrophe likely occurred, but he did not know what exactly it was. His story connects with another time traveler named Edward, who showed a flooded Los Angeles in a photo. In the year 8973, to Taylor's surprise, unidentified creatures existed in the world. They resembled humanoid robots with huge heads and eyes. Despite the presence of a lie detector in the video, most viewers did not believe the narrator because no polygraph expert was seen in the frame. In July of 1954, a bizarre incident occurred at a Tokyo airport. During the check-in process for a flight, one of the passengers presented a passport from a non-existent country. The suspicious man was detained. Authorities believed it to be some sort of hoax. After all, if he wanted to leave Japan with fake documents, why would he list a non-existent country, thereby drawing attention to himself? Despite police questioning, the man continued to insist that he was a citizen of the country of Taured. He also claimed that the state had existed for thousands of years and easily pointed it out on a map, which showed it to be in the location of modern Andorra. The man was baffled that no one had ever heard of his country and that the map called it something else. Police didn't know what to do with this mysterious individual and decided to place him in a hotel on the top floor, locking the doors. The next morning, the room was empty, as if the man had never existed. Who this man was and what country he was talking about remains a mystery. Greta Thunberg is a well-known activist fervently advocating for environmental protection. She was born in 2003 in Stockholm. Global fame came to her at the age of 16 when she stood in front of the Swedish Parliament building with a sign and declared a strike. Greta announced that she would stop attending school until the authorities paid attention to global warming issues and started complying with the terms of the Paris Agreement. In 2019, blogger Jack Strange posted a peculiar photo taken in 1898 on his page. It featured 3 children of different ages. Many of his followers were surprised, as the girl in the photo looked strikingly similar to Greta Thunberg. The same facial expression, face shape, round eyes, and even twin braids. It looked as if someone had photoshopped the activist's face onto an old photograph. Seeing such a resemblance, Jack's followers joked that perhaps Greta is not just an activist but also a time traveler, which is why she seems so odd to our society. This photograph appeared online in 2015 and has since been the subject of intense discussions among users. Now let's take a closer look at it. The photo, taken in the mid-1940s, features many soldiers. In the center of the photograph is a man in a light coat, holding an unidentifiable object to his ear. It looks as if he is talking to someone on a miniature phone, similar to modern smartphones. But how could such a device end up in the hands of a man at that time, when the first miniature smartphones only appeared in the 2000s? Users have different theories. Some think the man was checking if his watch was ticking. Others believe he was caught in an awkward moment, specifically scratching his ear. Among the guesses, it was also suggested that the photographer accidentally captured a time traveler who was reporting what was happening in the past to his colleagues via smartphone. One British newspaper noticed astonishing similarities between people in old photographs and the current president of Russia. This news went viral, and many users even suggested that Putin can time travel. To marvel at this yourself, I suggest looking at 2 such photographs. The first was taken in the 1920s and features a Soviet soldier whose facial features closely resemble the well-known politician. The second photograph was taken in the 1940s. This time we see a tank operator, and his resemblance to the president is striking. It almost appears to be his doppelganger. Amazingly, a large number of similar photographs have been found. People resembling Putin have even been depicted in ancient sculpture, which seems very odd. In 1979, 2 British married couples, the Gisbys and the Simpsons, found themselves in a truly mystical story. These 2 families had been friends for a long time and often vacationed together. That year, they went on a road trip to a resort in Spain, passing through France. After a long journey, they decided to stop and spend the night at a hotel. For this, they picked a small French town called Montélimar. They didn't have to look for a hotel for long. They encountered a neat elderly man by the roadside who seemed to appear out of nowhere. He recommended they turn off the road and continue on to a hotel. Following his advice, they arrived at an ancient building with elegant columns. Upon entering, they were surprised. The entire hotel interior looked as though they had stepped 100 years into the past. What stunned them even more was that the guests were also dressed in vintage clothing. When the families settled into their rooms, they decided to enjoy the view from the window and were amazed to see neither buildings nor roads outside. The night passed peacefully, but in the morning another surprise awaited them. The bill for dinner, lodging, and breakfast was just a few dollars. On their return journey from Spain, the 2 families decided to stay again at this hospitable and affordable hotel. However, turning onto the familiar road, they saw that the hotel had disappeared. Upon questioning the locals, they learned that such a hotel simply did not exist. Moreover, all their vacation photos turned out great except those taken opposite the hotel. Those photos were empty. It's likely that the friends somehow managed to go back in time and spend the night in a ghost hotel. This photograph captures not just a beautiful girl, but according to her own claim, a time traveler. Meet Alexandria Alexis. In 1898, she suddenly appeared in New York and began telling people that she had come from the year 2025. Back then, many considered her insane and didn't want to believe her words. However, her sudden disappearance a few months later shocked people. Several users tried to find information about Alexandria. It turns out this photo was taken in Napoleon Seroni's photo studio between 1866 and 1871. This means the girl from the future appeared in New York more than once. However, who she really was remains unclear. In these photographs, two women are captured who accidentally fell into a time trap. The incident that happened to them is considered one of the most mysterious events of the early 20th century. In 1901, two longtime friends, Charlotte Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, went to the Palace of Versailles. While walking in the park, they got lost. Trying to find a way out, they kept wandering on the same paths until they met some gardeners. The men told them they were going in the right direction and would soon be able to leave the park. However, a few minutes later, the surroundings changed drastically. According to Moberly and Jourdain, they didn't understand what was happening, and they became very frightened. The surrounding nature seemed distorted. Trees looked twisted, and there was no light, shadow, or wind. Everything around them seemed empty and lifeless. Suddenly, everything changed, and they saw a stranger sitting on a bench who seemed unpleasant for some reason. His appearance reminded the women of 18th century aristocrats. Soon, they met another young and handsome man. The women once again asked how to leave the park. He advised them to take the right path. There they met a woman in an old-fashioned dress who resembled Marie Antoinette. The lady invited them to a hall to be guests at a wedding celebration. At the end of the banquet, a carriage with a coachman was provided to take them to Paris. What happened to the women that day remains unclear. They admitted that they would have never believed this story had it not happened to them. If you're still skeptical about the possibility of time travel, these two pictures are for you. In the first, you can see a painting by an Italian artist created in 1937. It depicts two men, one of whom is holding an object that resembles a smartphone. The other man appears to be annoyed, as if saying, "How long are you going to be on your phone?" This painting could have easily become a meme of the first half of the 20th century. However, people back then had no idea that in less than a century, a pocket gadget would appear, replacing books, phones, cameras, and much more. In the second photo, a man is also seen holding something that resembles a smartphone. Looking at the picture, one gets the impression that the man is annoyed for being distracted from scrolling through his social media feed. The photograph of this sculpture has become almost the main piece of evidence for the existence of time travelers. The age of this ancient monument is around 2,000 years. It depicts a wealthy woman with a young male servant standing in front of her, holding an enigmatic object that strikingly resembles a laptop. Skeptics argue that this is not a laptop at all. Likely the mysterious object is a jewel box or a wax tablet. But then, why doesn't the box have any indentation? Also, it's unclear why the woman is looking at the upper part of the box, just as anyone would look at the screen of an open laptop. If it were a wax tablet, why are there two holes on the side of it, resembling ports for peripheral devices? Additionally, wax tablets usually have attachments on both sides, which are not visible in the sculpture. Currently, this mysterious sculpture is housed in the Getty Museum in California. Conspiracy theory enthusiasts believe that it is evidence of advanced technologies in ancient times, brought from the future. In 2018, a man named Edward made a shocking statement that he had managed to visit the future. As evidence, he presented a photograph showing Los Angeles completely submerged underwater. According to Edward, 14 years ago, he was fortunate enough to participate in a secret project, during which he was sent to the future, to the year 5000. The man confidently states that a shadow government is assembling the most outstanding scientists in their organization. With their help, they managed to conduct experiments that may seem fantastical to ordinary people. He was chosen for such a project from billions of other people on our planet. Edward reported that during his time travel, he learned that global warming had led to catastrophic consequences. In the year 5000, many cities, including Los Angeles, were completely flooded. The photograph shows that skyscrapers have completely sunk in the water, and the city has turned into a sort of Antarctica. Skeptics believe that the photo was edited in Photoshop, although what Edward said could well happen in reality. This photo was taken during the World Cup in 1962. The tournament was held in Chile and ended with Brazil defeating Czechoslovakia with a score of 3-1. The photo captures the captain of the Brazilian team, Mauro Ramos. Elated with victory, he lifts the cup, and around him, several dozen photographers hold their cameras to immortalize this moment in football history. It seems that this photograph is quite ordinary, and there is nothing strange about it. But if you look closely at the photographers, you can notice that one of them holds an amazing camera resembling a flip phone. But how could a man have this gadget in 1962? Note, the first flip phone was released by Motorola only in 1996. For this reason, the photograph raises many questions. Some users believe that it is not a phone, but some strange model of camera, while others suggest that this person came to the championship from the future. It's believed that the United States created a top-secret project called Montauk, which was an extension of the Rainbow Project. This new program ran for 40 years, starting in 1943, at an American military base near Montauk, New York. The experiment involved subjects whose brains were irradiated with high-frequency radio pulses, leading to various hallucinations. Later, these individuals claimed that due to the experiment, they were able to time travel and witness future events with their own eyes. The Montauk Project became known worldwide after the release of a book by Preston Nichols, who claimed to have participated in these experiments. In it, he shared many intriguing facts, such as researchers managing to open a time portal by distorting the time continuum. According to him, the project was shut down immediately after some of the subjects lost their sanity. Interestingly, the Montauk military base was indeed closed in 1983, and this event was carried out in the utmost secrecy. What exactly took place there over the 40 years remains unknown, as the US government refuses to comment on it. Internet users were quite surprised when they saw an interesting photograph circulating online. It captured a decorative element from the Cathedral of St. Joram in the Spanish city of Salamanca, depicting an astronaut. This cathedral was built in the 18th century, so how could people know what future astronauts would look like? What's more, the astronaut was incredibly detailed, right down to the footwear with ribbed soles. The Spanish astronaut ignited serious debate among users. However, an official theory regarding its creation soon emerged. According to this theory, a restorer decided to add his own touch at the end of the 20th century, choosing an astronaut as the detail. Nevertheless, conspiracy theory advocates continue to believe that this object serves as another piece of evidence for time travel. In the year 1950, a man of strange appearance suddenly materialized in the middle of Times Square in New York. He had narrow sideburns and was dressed in Victorian-era clothing. He looked very scared and utterly bewildered. In his confusion, he stepped onto the road and was struck by a taxi. After the unfortunate incident, among his personal belongings in the morgue were found unusual items: a bill for horse and carriage service issued by a stable on Lexington Avenue, 70 old-style dollar bills, a business card with the name Rudolph Fence, residing in an apartment on Fifth Avenue, and a letter sent to this address in 1876 from Philadelphia. Moreover, in his trouser pocket was a token for a bar whose name no one in modern New York had ever heard of. Hubert Rhyme, a captain in the department searching for missing persons, tried to identify the strange man but found no data about him. Eventually, Rhyme found a phone number in a 1939 directory for a Rudolph Fence Jr. After calling his wife, he learned that the man's father, the very same Rudolph Fence, had disappeared in 1876. He simply went for a walk and never returned. To this day, the story remains a mystery. Some people speculate that Fence mysteriously time-traveled, while skeptics believe the entire incident was a fabrication based on plots from mid-20th century science fiction works. For example, a similar story was told in Jack Finney's book, I Am Scared. It seemed like Rudolph Fence was just a fictional character, but later it became clear that a man with the same name was officially listed as missing since 1876. This photograph was taken in the heat of summer on one of Florida's sunny beaches. At first glance, the photo seems ordinary, but if you zoom in, you can see that among the people sunbathing in swimsuits, there stands a strange man in an autumn suit and tie. Internet users, upon seeing this photo, began to make jokes about the man, suggesting that he is a time traveler. Only he probably got the season and location of his arrival wrong, and thus was dressed completely inappropriately for the weather. That's all from me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. Your engagement is the best reward for me. Thank you for your attention. See you soon. Goodbye.